Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about two-step equations. Solving a two-step equation is just like solving a one-step equation, but we have more steps. The goal is the same. Isolate the variable. To solve a two-step equation, we first undo addition or subtraction, and then we undo multiplication or division. And remember, what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So, let's look at some practice examples. Now, remember that an equation has two sides, so I'm just going to draw the line down to make sure that what I do to one side, I do to both sides. My equation is 2x plus 6 equals 8. I'm going to undo addition first, and then I'm going to undo multiplication. I'm adding 6, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. The 6's cancel out. 2x equals 8 minus 6 is 2. Now I have just a one-step equation. The inverse of multiplying is to divide. Since there's a 2 at the x, I'm going to divide by 2. That leaves me with x equals 1. My solution is x equals 1. I can always tell if this is the correct answer by putting it back in the original equation. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 6 is 8. So I know my answer is correct. Number 2, negative 4x minus 9 equals negative 3. I'm going to draw my line. I have multiplication and subtraction, so I'm going to add and divide. I'm going to add 9, and I add 9 because remember I'm trying to isolate the variable. So I want to undo everything that's happening on that side. That cancels out, leaves me with negative 4x. Negative 3 plus 9 is positive 6. This is multiplication. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. Now, it's okay to end up with a fraction. When I divide 6 by negative 4, I'm going to get negative 1.5. X is equal to negative 1.5. You could also simplify this and make it negative 3 halves, and you could also leave it as an improper fraction. But this one divides through pretty easily. Now, notice on number 3 that my variable's on the other side. That's fine. I'm going to multiply negative 5 times b, and then I'm going to subtract 17. So it's multiplication, subtraction. The opposite is adding and dividing. So again, you always find the variable, and that's where you're going to undo everything that's happening. So I'm going to add 17 to both sides. A negative 17 and a positive 17 is 0. Leaves me with negative 5b. When I add 18 and 17, that equals 25. The inverse of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. b is equal to negative 5. Again, you can always test it by putting it back into the equation. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, minus 17 is 18. Number 4. Again, identify my two sides. Right there's my variable. I'm adding and multiplying, so the inverse is to subtract and divide. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Now, be careful, because negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24. and then I have 8z. I'm going to divide by -8. Z is going to be equal to +3. 24 divided by 8 is 3. The signs are the same, so my answer is positive. Okay, let's look at number 5. Draw my line. I'm multiplying and adding, so I'm going to subtract and divide. Subtract 10 from both sides. Leaves me with 2r. -12 minus 10 is -22. Watch your signs. Divide both sides by 2. R is equal to -11. Okay. Number 6. There's my n, multiplying by 3, adding 15. So I'm going to do the inverse, subtract and divide. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. Leaves me with 3n. 15 minus 15 is 0. And that's okay. I can have a 0 there. Divide by 3. N is going to equal 0. And 0 is the solution. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 15 is 15. Now, we oftentimes will use equations when we work with word problems. The length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than twice its width. Well, let's write that out in using numbers and letters. Twice its width, and I'm going to have W equal the width. So twice would be 2W. 3 meters less would be -3. My length is 11. Okay, I'm telling you what the length is. So 2W minus 3 equals 11. The length of the rectangle, 3 meters less than twice its width. Now I can go through and just solve the equation. Subtraction and multiplication. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Leaves me with 2W and 14. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. W equals 7. So the width of my rectangle is 7 meters. If you have any questions, bring them to class with you tomorrow.